Now, podcasting has become an increasingly lucrative line of business. Advertising revenues are expected to rise around 10% this year, and that's despite the pandemic. Downloads of podcasts did, however, see a dip in March and April. There were lockdowns around the world, of course, and that meant that people weren't commuting, which is obviously a very good time to immerse yourself in the spoken word. So, is the pandemic going to have a longer-term effect on our listening habits? Let's find out. Zibby Owens is host of the literary podcast Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books, and she is in New York. Zibby, A, very good to see you. B, you're in the right place as far as this coronavirus crisis has hit a city. And there's been a hit on your industry. I mean, I don't expect you to talk it down, but it's probably been a challenging few months, hasn't it?
Well, I feel like the coronavirus has actually opened up more opportunities for podcasts. I think that for certain podcasts, people are craving the intimacy that the listening provides. And while there isn't a commute, of course, there is still more opportunities for walks and more opportunities around the house. And there's more ways, I think, to fit it in instead of just commuting.
Right, so the March-April hiatus, if you like, and the bit of a drop-off, which we can all understand, that's done. You think that's done and dusted?
I think so. I think people are craving content, information. I think sometimes they're craving an escape from all the bad news. And I think they really trust the people that they've come to listen to more and have a relationship with in their podcasts.
Right, I mean, you're in the market, you're doing very well with it. Getting into the market now, getting into the podcast world, I presume, is increasingly challenging.
There are a lot of shows out there, as anyone who scrolls through can see. It's tough. I think it would be tough. More and more shows start every day. But for standout shows, I think there's always an opportunity.
Right, and in terms of your own listenership, has there been a bit of a fall-off or what?
No, I actually saw a lot of growth, like explosive growth during the pandemic. I think I started a lot of other ways to boost my listenership that I couldn't do because the pandemic had stopped them, such as in-person events and things like that. So I started Instagram Lives. I started a virtual book club. I had to be creative with how to grow my listenership, which I did. And for my show, at least, where I interview authors, there's never a shortage of books. Books continue to come out. Authors always need more help publicizing their books, and everybody wants a story. And I really try to get to the heart of what people are talking about in their books and the emotional connection. And I think that's something that people really, really want.
You know, we should have had you on with a failed podcaster so you could point out the way to keep it going, keep it thriving, keep it innovative, because that is also going to be critically important as time goes on. I presume there must be a sort of peak podcast point at the same time. I mean, it's been on boom over the last few years, but somewhere it's going to flatline.
I agree. At some point, there's just going to be too much, right? There's only so much listening power people have. They would run out of time. So I think at some point it will stabilize.
When you say you focus on books in particular, I mean that is the industry for you effectively, isn't it?
It is. Yes, 100%.
And can that continue to grow?
Well, again, I think book reading was up as well. There was obviously a drop, and for a while there was a operational constraint with the production of books, and even now there's not enough factories working and all of that to produce to meet the demand. But yes, again, people are craving stories, and that is something that has been from the beginning of time. And I think that books that connect with people, there's always room for them.
Very true. Not much room for them in your bookstore, your library now. A couple of spaces on the top shelf there. Zibby, thank you very much indeed. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.